first, well, that's a good question. That's a very good question. No one's asked me that yet. I guess my granddad was a main influence for me. Like, he was always singing in the house, and I used to always watch him go out doing gigs on the weekends, like pubs and hotels and those kind of venues. And I just remember always, whenever he'd set up his equipment to have a rehearsal in the house, he'd always have a microphone and his guitar. And it was just being around that kind of environment that made me think, this is what I want to do. And I used to plague him for years. Granddad, bring me gigging with you. And then when I got to the age of 7, he started bringing me to like suitable gigs, like daytime events and maybe local nursing homes and things like that, where we'd go in and sing a few songs for everyone. And my love for it just grew, and I knew that I didn't enjoy anything else as much as I enjoyed singing. And even all my time through school, as I got older, sure, I hadn't a bit of heat on school. I always knew I wanted to be a singer, and I tried my best at school, but I was better at like more practical subjects than, if you asked me to sit down and learn like theory work, it'd go, wouldn't be able to do it. But if you asked me to sit down and learn a song with 12 verses in it, minutes, I'd have it off. So it was just crazy. I always knew that I just always had a passion for it, and anything else that I tried to do, even in TY, I had to do like work experience in school. Like, I worked in my local shop, and then I got trained up in my local bar, and it was just kind of like, okay, like, I appreciate people that do these jobs, but it seemed like so much more hard work than singing, because I didn't class singing as a job because I loved it so much. It was more like a hobby that I got to do and like get money for. So it was cool, like, yeah. That's probably not even answering your question, but I can't actually remember there's been a few moments where I've thought, oh, I really want to do this even more now. But mainly when I was younger, like, I suppose being encouraged so much to just, keep working on myself. Like, my granddad never really was like, oh, you're brilliant, you're this, you're that. He was like, okay, so work on this part now, and then work on this part. And he always he kept me very grounded and realistic. So if I was doing something wrong, he'd say, he'd tell me on how to improve on it and work on it. And I think I've always kept that kind of way about myself now, because whenever I look back on performances or recordings, I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I could have done that better, or oh, I wish I could have changed that. And I always kind of try and improve my next performance from the last. And I think it's just something I do all the time, but it's literally having that encouragement when I was younger, and that kind of insight into the music world, to be told, always keep trying to improve, that no one's perfect. And it was really good growing up in that kind of environment. Yeah. Irish voice, but I think the Voice UK, it's got such an amazing viewership. So there's so many viewers at home that watch it, compared to like in Ireland, we don't even have 5 million people. And I think on average the Voice UK gets like 6 million people maybe every week. So it's kind of like, okay, that's so much more worthwhile, because a larger audience is going to hear me. And even the coaches that are on it, because we don't have an Irish one, like the coaches on it, the fact that it's, they're so sought after, Sir Tom Jones is an elite. Like, there isn't a musician or a singer that's established that he doesn't know or hasn't sang with. Like, he sang with Dolly Parton, Elvis Presley, Stevie Wonder. Like, there's so many that he knows, and then they're all really successful as well, and they're known on a really global kind of platform. So it was really exciting, to think that I had a chance of performing in front of them. And I guess I just picked The Voice UK because, well, it's the only big talent show that's on TV at the minute, apart from the talent shows that are on in America as well, that are actually looked at and watched by people all over the globe. Like, when all the videos of everyone performing goes up online, people from Australia and America, for example, have been messaging me and telling me they've been viewing my blind audition. So that's been really cool, and I'm glad that I went for it now. They sent me on lots of really good suggestions, and they said, try them out, see what you think. They were helping me, because I did ask them if there's any songs that you could think might suit me, send them on. And they had sent on a few. There was one in particular they had sent on, which was Dive by Ed Sheeran, but it was the Luke Combs version. which is a country version. And then I tried out songs by Leanne Rimes, and then who else was there? There was songs by Kelly Clarkson. So it was cool. Like, then when I came down to it, there was two like of my own kind of choices where I felt, oh, these really resonate with who I'd like to be known as, like as an artist wise. So When I Look at You was one of my top kind of choices that I thought, oh, I could do something with this. Something, it's a song that we haven't heard 100 times before on these kind of shows. So it was a bit of a risk. I was really worried too that no one would have heard of it, because not everyone is going to watch the movie that Miley sang it in. So I was a massive Miley and Hannah Montana fan, so I knew it for years. But then the other song was Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood. And I don't think anyone actually knows that. But yeah, that was my other choice that I was going to go for. And the team, when I submitted a good few songs, like just a minute and a half, or to give them a rough idea of what each song would sound like if I was to do it. So when I sent it on back, that was fine. They were like, oh, we really like such a one, and such a one. And then I was like, yeah, I think When I Look at You, I could, try and bring it somewhere and make it, a bit different to the original. And then we ended up going with that one then. And that was it. The band then came up with the section of the song that I'd sing, because I just said, well, whatever part you think would work best. So they sent me on the edit of the section they had used, and then I just put my own kind of stamp on it and tried to bring it somewhere else and, try and showcase my vocal ability by doing it. And yeah, I'm really shocked. Like, people seem to be really liking it, so I'm delighted. Indeed, I'm writing a good bit now with some UK songwriters, and there is a couple in Nashville that I've been writing with, and I've written my own then. I have like a little snippet on TikTok. I need to start posting more of my originals. That's probably another reason why I'm delighted I done The Voice too, because I didn't really have the courage to release my originals. I was trying to build my platform a bit first, instead of just putting them out there, and for it just, because to be fair, I had like a small following before The Voice, and now I feel like I have a bit more courage to actually go out and release my own songs now, because I know that people that are following me have liked what they've heard so far, so they might like my originals, hopefully. Fingers crossed. It was actually will.i.am that turned, but Tom, I felt like Tom turned in spirit, because I was literally in my own head, I was like, oh, his feedback is really nice. Maybe he wanted to turn, but he probably thought that he was just after getting a girl on his team, so he probably didn't want too much of the same thing. But his feedback was amazing too. Will and Olly, it was a tough decision, but I think the reason why Olly sold himself to me was his pitch was just, he said, I wouldn't change anything with you, and he was like, I'd like you to just be who you want to be. So that to me was music to my ears, because I was like, well, maybe he'll give me the reins, and if I go far in the show for him, that he'll let me pick what songs or give my suggestions, because from here on out now your coach picks the songs. So I was thinking, maybe if he likes what he hears, he might keep me in mind when choosing songs down the road if I'm successful in getting through the battles. But yeah, it was really, really tough. Like, will.i.am has so many American contacts, but my main goal is to be known as a country artist, and I was just afraid, because I'm the only country artist in the show and Will is quite pop orientated, I was like, I don't want to confuse my audience either. I can't even talk, I'm talking so much. I didn't want to confuse them either with coming out doing a country kind of vibe for my blind, to then maybe be given a pop song in the battle. So I was a bit worried, but yeah, I ended up going with Olly then. Something on the night, my gut just told me, go for Olly. My head was probably saying go for Will, but my heart was kind of saying go for Olly, because they both could have brought something so different to the table with regards to working with me. And I just hope that my decision doesn't let me down. I hope that Olly I hope he still feels the same in the next stage as he did in the blinds, because it's nerve-wracking thinking that I'm going to be in basically like a boxing ring with someone else, trying to fight for a place in the next stage. But it's all exciting all the same, and it's still a massive platform, another opportunity to perform with so many people, so I'm excited for it as well. All I remember for the blind was we got to do a rehearsal and we could see the virtual screen. So we had an idea of what it was going to kind of look like for us up on stage. And I felt like it was actually okay. Like, I had been used to singing in front of like an audience to a certain extent, so like people in person, but definitely it was a new one, singing to a load of screens, because you could see loads of people at home and they were just, you want to keep them, like, you want to capture their attention and you want them to want to keep watching you. And just the response, I remember people were shouting, turn and all that, and that was a great boost to me. And then at the same time I was kind of like, okay, don't lose focus, you need to hit this note that's coming up in the song. But I still felt like, that it felt like there was a live audience, because you could hear them interacting with me, you could hear them shouting, turn, or you could hear them clapping. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't the same as a live audience, but it was as good as, the response. I was able to feed off their response, if you get me. So I'm glad that we had the option of the screen, so it was cool, because I'd say it would have been very, very daunting if there was no audience whatsoever and just cameras and the coaches with their backs turned. So I was glad there was virtual audience at least. Some new music. I'm going to be releasing more, and some new uploads online. And I've been doing lots of like online virtual like charity fundraising events and some live videos with some people like yourself that want to do like just ask a few questions, some Q&As. And then what else am I doing? I have plans to release my original music, and I think that's trying to make do with what we can do at the minute. I'm hoping to do something for St. Patrick's Day, and being Irish and all, it's a big thing, everywhere. So I'd love to do like maybe an online gig or something and get a few music friends involved. And apart from that, then just focusing on the show, getting ready for the battles, and hoping that the music world will return back to normal soon so we can get back on stage. But that's it. That's kind of what's coming up. I grew up listening to like more old school country, but then as I got older, like I became like just, in the words of Olly, mesmerised by the likes of Carrie Underwood, and Maren Morris has come on the scene lately. She's amazing, and Cam, and there's so many like Americano female country artists that I've looked up to now, especially in recent years, where they're almost like they're so current in sounding. Like, if you didn't follow the country music scene, you would probably think what the coaches thought of me. You would think they were pop, because country is progressing so much. It's not really all about like banjos and fiddles anymore. It's kind of, a lot of the music behind a lot of country artists now is very, very poppy or rocky. And then, so if you listen to the likes of Pink has done a new song with Keith Urban. I've been one too many drinking on my own, yeah. And that's like, he's a country artist, but Pink is Pink. Like, she's pure like poppy, rocky vibe, lover. And it just shows that like country, the sound is always changing, but if you're able to like cater for country fans and pop fans with a bit of rock, or all these different elements going through it, with all those elements, like they bring a different kind of following. So there's a lot of people that would follow me because they would remember me singing old school country, but then there's a lot of people that follow me now from hearing me sing more modern poppy sounding country. So it's, I think, like having like an element of surprise. I've always wanted to be country. I just feel like it's where I fitted best. I grew up singing it from such a young age, so I was almost programmed to be a country singer. And I guess, I've tried to just make a career out of it, and thankfully we're getting to see it now on a large platform. What I've been working very hard on over the years, and a lot of years, a lot of knocks, a lot of sacrifices and dedication went into that performance, because it took a lot to get to this point. Like, I've nearly given up so many times because I didn't get anywhere. So it really, the reaction I'm getting being a country artist is mind-blowing. And it's literally, I spent all week and all weekend crying, because it was really emotional to think I nearly gave up, and look what people think of me and my performance. And it's one of those moments where you're like, I'm glad to be who I am, and I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing, because it just shows being different isn't such a bad thing. You know, being different on the show will hopefully bring a new kind of audience to watch the show. Maybe country fans that would have never watched The Voice UK before may tune in now. I've had lots of different influences over the years. A lot of American country, a lot of Irish country, folky kind of songs, and then like my main influence would have been my granddad, because he's the one that encouraged me, and he's the one that kind of gave me the belief that I could do it from such a young age. You know, he made me believe that if you work hard at something, you can make it possible. And you know, he was always kind of, he's the person that I aspired to be when I was younger. I wanted to go out and do what he done, go out gigging, hold a real microphone, get to singing it in front of people. Like, he was always number one. And then I looked up to the likes of people that had a tough time trying to break into the industry. So the likes of Shania Twain, she didn't have anything handed to her, and she had a really tough upbringing. And like, you know, that's kind of, I could relate to her in the sense, I come from such a small place where there's no opportunities at all. I live on a peninsula, which is basically an island, but we're connected by a bridge to the mainland. So opportunities like this just do not happen. And I loved like Celine Dion. So Celine Dion got her big break after she won the Eurovision. And I loved her. Like, I love singers that could just stand there, no gimmicks, that even stand there without a microphone and just sing and command the stage and command the attention of whoever was in front of them. I always loved that kind of, those big voices. And, you know, I guess I've always kind of looked up to a lot of R&B artists and a lot of like ballad singers. So like Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, all the greats. Like, I've always looked up to them, and you know, there'll never be a replacement for any of them, you know, powerhouses. But I'd love to you know, kind of keep what I learned from them alive. So you don't really hear a lot of like big like belty singers in country. So that has been their influence, whereas the storytelling ability that I like to, you know, put out there was from the Queen of Country, Dolly Parton, because the way she could tell a story and connect to you. You know, she would even speak in a lot of her songs, and you'd just be drawn in. Like, I've yet to meet a person that, you know, doesn't like Dolly Parton. You know, she's just such a bubbly character, and she's like, yeah, I think I've kind of grown up listening to, you know, people that have really set the bar in their genres really high. And I guess I hope that I can do myself justice and kind of take on board all the little elements that I subconsciously learned from them, if that makes sense. So even stage presence wise and everything, I've always kind of, well, I can't really dance, so country doesn't really, thankfully. You just stand there and sing, or you know, you move with the band, or you know. But if I had to prance around stage, I don't know how that'd fare out. So yeah, I kind of, you can tell who my influences were. It probably makes sense now from watching my performance, and then after me telling you who I looked up to. It's kind of similar kind of vibe, but you know, sticking to the country kind of roots as well. Places that I performed in has been in the UK. When I was younger, I was about 10 or 11. I think the first time I performed there, I was 11. It was a place called the Galtee Moor in Cricklewood in London. And that was basically the Grand Ole Opry of like Irish country music. And it was based in like the heart of London, really. It was where all the Irish community used to be. And it was a massive building. They've had so many amazing artists like Martina McBride perform there, who's really another big inspiration of mine, actually. She's really popular in the American country scene. And then they've had the likes of some Irish artists that have performed there. And it was kind of like such a sought after place. Like, it was the place that all the country artists this side of the world, you know, loved to perform in, because it could hold, the capacity that it could hold was massive, like a couple of thousand. And apart from that, then getting to perform in a lot of the Irish centres in the UK was amazing. Because I was only a child, so it was a massive deal. It was the fact when I was younger, I had released like little self-titled little CDs just of covers of country songs, and it was, the aim in it was so I'd be able to like get a song played in my local radio, which is just a small local radio, and that was amazing. And those opportunities came from that. And then through the years, I've just performed with some Irish country artists doing like support gigs and stuff. So that has been really cool because I've been able to showcase myself to, you know, lots of successful people's audiences, and a lot of them have jumped on board. They've liked what they've heard, and they've followed me on my journey to date. So it's there's been a lot of highlights, but some of the ones that stick out for me are the actual, like, the times that I got to do the Irish centres and the particular places in England, because they were amazing. And you definitely weren't seeing kids my age at the time getting those opportunities, so it was crazy. But yeah, it's actually because I used to always be gigging a lot on the weekends and stuff. I never got to go to that many concerts, but one of the biggest concerts I've been to wasn't a country artist at all. It was Macklemore. So he came to Dublin, and that was such an amazing concert. It was just, the buzz was just amazing, and it was packed. There was so many people there, and I kind of, because I listen to a lot of different styles, I would very much go and see like different artists and different vibes and stuff. So he was one of the biggest concerts I've been to. And then who else have I been to? Shania Twain. I cried the whole concert because I just thought, that's what I want to do. And I remember watching her because I did a support slot before one of her shows, just on one of the small stages that, like, in the holding room, and I got to perform there whilst everyone was like getting ready to go into the arena, and I got free tickets out of it to go and see her after I performed. So that was amazing. And her concert, just her songs, I grew up listening to the woman, you know, she's still so talented. And that's probably two of the highlights. But what else? I think I forgot to answer one of your last questions, where I'd like to go. Just to answer that, the place I'd love to go and perform in would be the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. That is the one place, like, I would die happy if I ever got to perform there. But yeah, sorry, I forgot to answer that one. Anything from Guns N' Roses to Loretta Lynn. I literally listen to the most randomest mix. Reggae, pop, country, rock, even a bit of jazz at times. Chris Stapleton would be probably on the top of the playlist at the minute. And then who else have I been listening to? Maren Morris, Gabby Barrett. I'm loving her at the minute. A lot of Americano country, but then it depends. Like, I'm sure you're probably the same. Like, I have a different song for each mood. So whatever mood I'm in during the week, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to listen to this one now. But yeah, some brilliant questions. If there's anything that you haven't written down, go ahead, ask whatever you like. So yeah, being the only Irish artist on The Voice UK this year, and coming from such a small place, I guess I would just like everyone to know that I'm very, very thankful with all the amazing support I've been given. Like, I come from a tiny town called Belmullet, which is the far, far west of Ireland. It's in County Mayo, and, you know, I'm right beside the sea, and it's kind of, you know, when I watched back my blind audition, because it was pre-recorded, I watched it back at home here, and I guess I didn't realise how far I had come in the sense of going through all the knocks and the setbacks that I've been through. Like, I am really, really appreciative of that. People are liking what they're hearing, and, you know, basically that I hope people will continue to follow me on my journey, and that I'd love to do some shows around the UK and Ireland in the near future, no matter how big or small they are. I mean, if people would like to come and see me, that's all that I could possibly want from doing a show like this, because at the end of the day, I went on the show hoping that people would know my name after my performance, and thankfully a lot more people know of me now than what they did before. So that's all, really. I just wanted to thank you as well for taking the time to do the interview, and it's been really cool. Hopefully it won't be the last time.